My name's Jason Crawford, and I'm going to share with you a message that is really critical from all of us in this room, but it's also very near and dear to me. A little bit more near and dear to my heart than, well, we'll get into that in a moment. But with that said, as Nadia mentioned, I am a former four-time chief innovation officer on a company that was Inc. fastest growing private companies for 4 years running. And that
Wow.
rolled me into a chief innovation role. So it started as a chief operating officer role and then a chief innovation role. And believe it or not, team, I don't just sit up in an executive panel or pedestal, I should say. I am an active practicing broker. I have my broker's license here in the United States in the state of California. So, what we're going to talk about today is a message about how to become moving from obsolete to irreplaceable. And I just caught the tail end of the panel earlier, and we were talking about evolution and the ability to pivot and adapt. And the last panelist, I think he said the last company to implement AI is going to be the first company to go out of business. And I wholeheartedly believe that to be true. And with that said, I want to share with you over the next 10, 15, 20 minutes how we can move from obsolete to irreplaceable because disruption doesn't just happen to industries, it happens to people as well. And what I mean by that, team, is I want to share with you that before we get into the nuts and bolts and the actual particulars from the business side. Do I have your permission to just be a little bit personal here for a moment?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So, I mean, because at the end of the day, we're just humans connecting and playing in an AI world. But
Yes.
3 years ago, team, my chief innovation officer role came to an end, and it came to an end very abruptly. And I was laid off. And this was in November of 2022. This was a 10-year role that I had built so much time, effort, energy, put my heart, sweat, tears, blood, emotions into this role. It was my identity. It was who I was at the time. And to be laid off abruptly like that was just absolutely devastating. And I was lost. I was lost for about a year and I just kind of drifted and I was angry and I was pointing fingers and I was blaming people that it was their fault that I was laid off. And I was just not a happy person. I was just not in a good place. And I'm a true believer that that which we carry on our inside manifest in physical symptoms on the outside. And sure enough, it happened. Um, a year of carrying around this depression, this anger, and this emotional weight, I suffered a massive heart attack, and it's what they call a widowmaker heart attack. It has about 11% survival rate, so it is just a miracle, stroke of luck, and a blessing of God that I'm actually here with you today. And the heart attack is central to the story, and here's why, team. At the moment of the heart attack, I knew exactly what was happening. I grabbed my keys. I went to my car. I hopped in the car. I live in a mountain community called Lake Arrowhead. It's a ski resort town. And I thought I was going to make it to the hospital myself. And it reached a point where it was very clear that I wasn't going to make it. And so I made a decision to pull over, call 911, call the medical authorities to come pick me up. And they came and picked me up, threw me in the back of the ambulance. And the young kid, paramedic, 20 years old, eyes as big as golf balls, said, "I'm not going to lie to you, sir. You're having a heart attack. And we're going to do our best to get you down the hill as quickly as possible. But if you can do me a favor and put on this defibrillator vest, that way, if it goes from bad to worse, we can actually take good care of you." And we had about a 20-minute drive to the hospital. The other option was to get me airlifted to the hospital, but the helicopter would not have been there in time, and I wouldn't be here sharing this story. So my point is, as we were going down the mountain, we're curving down these windy roads, and they say your life flashes before your eyes in those moments, and I'm here to say that may or may be not be true, but for me it was a little bit different. In that, what flashed before my life was, is this it? Am I done? It is this how my story ends? And, as we turned the mountain, the sun was setting, and the back of the ambulance, just all this light came in. And I don't want to get too supernatural on you, but it was blinding at that point. And I thought, no, I'm not done. I'm not done. And at that moment, I decided, well, one, let's survive, right? Let's get through this. But we have more impact to make. We have more conversations to have, and we have more people that we need to help. Now, the point of that team is not the laying off, not the heart attack, although those were the villains in the story. What happened afterward is what makes us and makes life worth living. See, that was 2 years ago. Since then, I've reinvented myself, and I am now the principal broker for Southern California for the nation, the United States, largest real estate company. I'm a principal broker for them, in addition to my coaching and helping agents as well. So that didn't happen by accident, and it happened based on three systems that I'm going to share with you in the next few moments. And this all occurred because the disruption occurred, and we are all facing disruption in our business, in our lives, and we must pivot. We must adjust, because team, disruption doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't it doesn't call and schedule an appointment. It doesn't put a Google Calendar invite your way. And I want to remind you, team, that no one in this room is immune to disruption. Nobody. Not the real estate professionals, not the mortgage professionals. If you're a venture capitalist sitting in this room and you're sitting on billions of dollars, you are not immune to disruption or change. Change is the only thing that is certain in life. And let's be crystal clear, team, the change is not coming. It's just a regular Saturday now. The change is here. AI is already here. From the business standpoint, we have underwriting of loans that's done super, super fast. Screening of tenants from a property management standpoint, and property managements are done quicker than ever. Valuing properties, CMAs, those are done in absolute real time. And let us not forget the automating of contracts, prospecting, and client communications. So the fact that it is here is a little surprising to me, but it's also not surprising in the same regard. I had the honor, the privilege, and the opportunity to share the stage with Gary Vaynerchuk many moons ago. No, we weren't speaking at the same time, but we were speaking at the same conference. And rest assured, I made my opportunity to make sure we crossed paths and had a conversation. And my question was, Gary, you're on the cutting edge of technology and real estate and business in general, entrepreneurship. Yes. What are you seeing? What's happening? What's coming? What is your best advice? And in true Gary fashion, some F-bombs were dropped, and he was just smiling and laughing. He said, Jason, there is a wave of technology that's coming into your industry. It's not a wave, it's a tsunami. And you have two choices. One, you can, curl up, hide from it, try to avoid it, and absolutely just get crushed by it. Or you can build yourself the biggest, baddest surfboard your business has ever seen, and you can hop on that surfboard and you can ride that into the next level of your business. And that was kind of mind-blowing to me. If we really do have a choice in this. We don't have a choice whether AI shows up. We don't have a choice whether disruption shows up. But what we do have a choice in is how we react to that, how we behave, how we adapt. So obsolete versus irreplaceable. In an obsolete type situation, it's not about age. It's not about where you come from. It's not about your educational level. Those that become obsolete are stuck in doing things in the way that they were always done before, while the world revolves, or rather evolves past you. See, being irreplaceable means that you can't be automated, you can't be outsourced, and you can't be commoditized. It's about becoming so valuable that the market can't function without you. And I'm going to get into some points with this and where this comes from. But at the end of the day, team, it starts with curiosity. The ability, the willingness, and the desire to change really is our starting point. But with these three A's I'm sharing with you on the screen now, these are the fundamental principles that took me from laying in a hospital bed pissed off at life with congestive heart failure, mad that my life was over at the age of 49 years old. I was mad at the world. But then I realized I needed to pivot, I needed to adjust, and I needed to adapt. See, adaptability is the oxygen. It's the
Yes.
oxygen of life. It's the oxygen of our business. It's how we go from where we are to where we want to be in a changing world. We must be fluid. We must be adaptable. Number two, authority. In this new era, social media has ran its course, and now with AI and AI generated content, it is going to the next level. So the amount of content that is being disseminated to our consumers on any given basis is more than any one person can process. So, how do we stand out? We have an authoritative figure. We are not a commodity. We don't do just what others in our industry do. We do it different. We do it better. We do it with our own personality and our own style. And then ultimately, acceleration. AI is our force multiplier. It's our superpower. It's what takes our adaptability and our authority and gives us the leverage. So, as mentioned, team, this framework isn't theory. This is how I rebuilt myself when I had every reason to quit. I wanted to quit, but I also didn't want to quit. But I had a choice, and I chose the path of the three A's. So let's talk about pillar one, adaptability. Um, we have the choice to adapt. We can cling to the past, or we can choose to reinvent ourselves. Same choice that I had, you're also facing maybe in your personal life, in your business, whatever you're facing, you do have a choice no matter the circumstances. Remember, adaptability is oxygen. And I want to tie this back to business for just a moment here. And if we look at the Netflix scenario, this is a real world case study that so many of us focus on Netflix versus Blockbuster, right? We know that Netflix was the underdog and it grew, and then ultimately Blockbuster went out of business. What we don't see, what we don't focus on, is how Netflix adapted and evolved at every stage of the game. They didn't just show up and knock Blockbuster out of the game. Netflix had to adapt. First, they started with their business model of mailing DVDs, and you watch one or two of them, you mail them back, you get the other ones. And then they evolved into streaming. They were one of the first streaming platforms. And then they evolved into original content as well. And I don't know about you, but just last weekend, I watched the Canelo Crawford fight on Netflix. A month or two prior, I was watching Jake Paul and Mike Tyson streaming on Netflix. So they are creating their own real world content. They reinvented themselves. And Nadia, by all means, if you need to put up some fingers and tell me, hey, I'm running low, I got a running clock here. I think I have about 13 minutes. Is that about right?
No, you are fine. You are fine. I just enjoy your session because it's so energetic.
I'll be honest, I got up, I hit the gym early today just so I can bring a little bit more energy to the crowd. So
Yeah. Thank you
let's
so
let's
much.
talk about and let's talk about adaptability in action, team.
Yes.
And I know we have such a diverse group here, but as far as agents and mortgage professionals, the first thing you can do is don't cling to who you are and who you were. Be up for reinvention constantly. So if your lead generation, your communication patterns, your marketing, if it looks the same as 3 years ago, heck, even 3 months ago, you're already behind. It's time to reinvent and change this. Test drive AI tools. Don't fall for every shiny widget, lure, or everything that comes your way, but test drive them and see that which is a fit for you and your business. Focus on hyper local information. There's too much information out there, folks. Folks are becoming desensitized to it because there's too much to process. So if you focus on hyper local information for your specific community, your area, and your niche, that's how you're going to stand out and become the authority. I'll get to that next in just a second. Use video, use a lot of video, use TikTok, use Instagram, use YouTube, use LinkedIn. LinkedIn loves video right now. So make sure you're using that. On a personal side of things, make sure you're asking yourself, if I had to start from scratch today, if I was dropped in a new country tomorrow or a new market or a new industry, how would I reinvent myself to adapt into those markets? For my investors on the call, look at the business, of course. That's your business. You're in the business of investing in businesses, but also look at the team and how flexible, ready, willing, and able they are to pivot when change occurs. They may have the market locked down now, but 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, your investment may be painted into a corner and subject to change. Is that leading team flexible enough to pivot and make the adjustment and adapt? And this starts with us as leaders. We need to reward curiosity within our organizations. We got to throw the status quo out the window. We have to create a culture where reinvention is normal and not feared. Moving on, team. Pillar number 2, authority. In the age of AI, where it's open source, everybody has tools, everybody has access to the same tools, just as we have access to the same 24 hours in a day. But as I reminded you with your hyper local activity, is people don't buy companies. They buy you. They buy your credibility. They buy your trust. They buy the ability to work with you and what you bring to the table. So if you're a commodity that is focusing on rates and the ability to open up a door with a super key and write a real estate contract, how are you different? Have to identify what our brand is, get on our podium and talk about our authoritative nature. For example, anybody that is now 14 minutes into this conversation knows I'm about leadership, motivation, comeback, AI, and entrepreneurship.
Together.
There's no denying that. So there's a pact established there. So with that said, what is your authority? What is your path forward? Agents who build the credibility are the ones that are going to ultimately build visibility. And let's talk about authority applications, creating content, YouTube, LinkedIn, social media. I would be terrible to be the one to promote and talk this about, and we don't have time for this. Watch Gary Vaynerchuk's stuff. He is all about this and will show you how to get to the next level. On a personality side of things or personally in your business, just know, get past yourself. I don't like my voice. My nose is nasally. I sound like I'm going through puberty when I'm talking. It's difficult for me to watch myself present. But you know what? I got to put the ego aside and get past myself because there's somebody out there that needs to hear this message. There's somebody out there that needs to hear your message. So don't overthink it. It doesn't need to be perfect. Just get it out there and connect with people, speak into people. Leaders, make sure your people are visible. Make sure that they're encouraged to be learning and to be visible and to be participating in events like this. And investors, look for the founders that own their narrative. Founders that own their narrative, they know who they are, where they've been, where they're at, they can own the mistakes and know where they're going. Those are the people that we want to work with. Shifting gears, team. Let's talk about pillar number 3, acceleration. This is really basic, but this is the data. I'm kind of a data geek and I like the data. And I started working with a client. It's only been 60 days ago. She's a real estate professional here in Southern California, Newport Beach, which is a very high-end luxury area. She was spending upwards of 10 hours a week working on her marketing, making sure it was perfect with that community. And so she spent so much time segregating and making sure her market was correct. With a few systems leveraging AI, we were able to cut those market reports down to an hour per week. And through that, she can use the additional 9 hours for networking events, going to open houses, hosting broker opens, prospecting, and generating more business. Guess what, team? Guess what happened in 60 days? It's really no mystery. Her business increased and she ended up picking up twice as many escrows as she had before because she had more time for prospecting. AI didn't replace her. AI multiplied her. It made her more powerful.
Just saving times.
Absolutely. And venture capital firms, our investors that are online, you can now do your due diligence on 100 startups, whereas before it would take you to do the due diligence on 10 startups. That's not a small edge, team. Yeah. Compounded over time, that is an absolute superpower. All right, I'm going to start moving a little bit quickly because I do want to leave some time for questions, but let's talk about how we accelerate applications and we use AI to cut repetitive work. That's a no-brainer, but we should be doing it, not just talking about it. We need to test, trial, delete it, delegate it, or do it. The 3 Ds when it comes to AI. Test it. If you don't like it, you don't like the feel, it doesn't help your business, delete it. If it's helpful, but it's a role or a system within your business that you aren't actively involved in, delegate it to one of your team members to use that AI tool. Hey, I got something for you. It's going to make you that much more resourceful. And then ultimately you can do it yourself if you choose. Moving on, team. I talked about this before. Disruption does not ask for permission. Doesn't schedule an appointment. It just shows up. It could be a layoff. It could be a new competitor coming into your market. It could be a challenge personally, professionally, whatever the case may be. The key is to be ready, willing, able to adapt, to pivot. And as Gary Vee said, grab that surfboard. You either do nothing or you get crushed, or you grab your surfboard and you absolutely ride that wave. Obsolete versus irreplaceable. Obsolete is about attitude, team. Remember, if you are stuck in the past, if you're resistant to change, obsolescence is your future. If you are focusing with irreplaceable as your core value, then you're curious, you're learning, you're stepping into a new era and constantly evolving ourselves. I always ask this question when I'm dealing with agents one-on-one when they say, I'm not techie. I didn't grow up with that stuff. Okay, here's a little insight, team. I'm 51 years old. AI as we know it is 3 years old. I didn't grow up with it either. I made the choice to be curious and to learn it, which is going back to being adaptable. All right, team. So to bring it home, you have a choice. When disruption knocks, you can cling to the past or you can reinvent your future. It is your choice. You can use the 3 A's, very simple, basic premise to reinvent yourself. Now, that's professionally, that's personally, but whatever you're going through in this moment, you have a choice. You have the ability to pivot, change, and adapt. So 2 years ago, I had the choice to quit or reinvent myself. And I chose reinvention, and I'm glad I did. I'm happier than I've ever been in life at the age of 51, and I'm doing things that I never thought were possible. Here I am speaking to you on a Saturday in AI, and the reason I am here and was discovered is because I got past my nasally voice and post videos on LinkedIn and was discovered there. So that's the reason I'm here with you today. So I'm going to leave you with the same question I asked myself when I was laying in that hospital bed. When disruption comes, are you going to reinvent yourself? Are you going to create yourself to be irreplaceable? Or are you going to shrink into obsolescence and just call it a day? Say that at the end of your story. Because the wave's here, team, but you have the strength, the power, and the ability to transform. See, team, I believe in you. It's my hope, my goal, my mission, my role, my sole purpose in life is to speak truth into individuals and help them believe in themselves and help them see what's possible. Because the world doesn't need more of the same. The world needs you and your authentic voice and what you bring to the table.
Creativity, for sure.
That's all I got, team. If you want to connect, there's a QR code there. Go ahead and
Yes.
click on that link. It'll take you directly to my landing page there. You can go to YouTube. You can schedule a 30-minute one-on-one coaching session with me, whatever you choose. We can talk about business, entrepreneurship, life, real estate, whatever. I'm here to help you succeed.